If you feel pain, if you're suffering, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, if you're dealing with negative feelings, negative self-worth, negative self-esteem, if you're just dealing with the life, the suffering that comes along with being alive, you are not alone. We all deal with suffering. Suffering is a part of life. And I want to emphasize that because I want you to know that's not your fault. It's not you. You're not doing something wrong. However, by focusing on by trying to get rid of your depression, by trying to push back on your emotional pain and suffering, you could be making it worse. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, is how to understand suffering as a part of life and how to understand what to do with our suffering that all of us have felt. So we're not making it worse, but hopefully making you feel better. So if you want to learn about suffering, check it out. Yoga Psych. Ancient answers for your current problems. Hey, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and welcome back. Welcome back to Yoga Psych. This is where we're learning an old psychology. And today, particularly what we're going to learn about is some Buddhist principles called the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. Buddha himself gave us these truths. And I want to help you kind of look through these truths through the eyes of ego, through the eyes of your psychology, and help you understand you. And particularly understand, like we talked about in the beginning here, understand the suffering that is you, that is all of us, that affects and afflicts all of us. Let me start with a story. The other day, I went to a class. I went to a seminar, and this seminar was about auras. I don't know anything about auras. I don't even know if they're a thing. I don't know if they're real. I don't know how they work. I don't know nothing. And so I thought ignorance would be an awesome driver for wanting to go and learn what I can. The other thing that was actually part of my drive, part of my desire, was that Holly, my co-host on our podcast, Yoga Psych, Holly Semenoff, was leading it. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can go and support Holly and understand something I don't understand at the same time. So I thought, perfect, win-win. Now, while I was there, part of the seminar, I saw there was a woman across the room. And she stood up to me. She kind of jumped into my consciousness, as it were, because I could feel from her two pretty extremes. I could feel from her a lot of suffering, a lot of pain that felt deep. It felt old for her. And at the same time, I could feel a light, love, happiness in her, a positivity in her. And why she stood out to me was because these two felt really different, really extreme. Now, I always feel that with people. I can feel people's pain. I can feel people's positivity. But hers was big. And I didn't know her. I'd never met her before. So I didn't know why it was there, what it was about. But I went up to her anyway. And I just afterwards introduced myself, said, hi, good to meet you. And I just sent her some love, gave her some attention, sent her my prayers. And my prayers were that this pain that she carries, whatever it was from, whatever it was about, that it never overshadowed, that it never blocked out her light, her love, her joy and happiness. There was nothing I could really say. There was nothing I could really do to take away that pain. Instead, I just offered my attention and just gave her some kindness. Now that always makes me think about when I was a kid, or probably when you were a kid, or maybe when you had kids, We've all been there where our kids are riding on a bike and they're going down the street. And maybe this is the first day or the first week, or they're really new at this, and they hit something and boom, down they go and they crash and they burn and they scrape their knee. They're bleeding. And what do we do? Well, what do we all do is we take that child up in our arms. We hold them. We give them love. We give them some tenderness. Now, are we able to take away that pain? Are we able to magically just remove the pain from their body, to eliminate their illness and their suffering? No, that's not what we do. That's not even what we try to do. What do we do as parents is, actually, I think of it as meeting a higher need. The physical body is the base, and the physical body suffers. It does. But what we do as parents, what we all want to do for the people we love, is hold them and give them something bigger, something greater. Love, this thing from the heart, this greater truth, this greater connection. And in giving them that connection, what do we hope to do? We hope to make them feel better. Not feel better because their body hasn't stopped suffering, but feel better because we gave them something better, right? We gave them love. Well, that, in a nutshell, is the practice of yoga psych. That is what yoga psych is all about. I call it holding and loving. And that's the simple truth of yoga psych in terms of helping you and me deal with the suffering that is us. Now, let me see if I can break that down for you. And I'm probably going to spend the next 15, 20 years breaking that down for us. But let's try right now. In Buddhism, Buddha, it's said in tradition, it's said that one of his first sermons, one of his first talks given, that came shortly after his own enlightenment, his own self-awareness, self-awakening, was this talk about the Four Noble Truths. And most people don't study the Four Noble Truths because they're not super positive. They're not super happy. They're kind of a downer. Four Noble Truths are this. 1, life is suffering. That's all it is. It will never be anything more. There is no escaping it. There is no getting around it. There is no exception. Life is suffering. Now, second truth is that the reason why life is suffering is because we have desires. We have longings. We have wants. We have what we think of as needs. And it's our wanting, our longing, our needs that cause us to suffer. Third truth. We get attached to our needs. And I think he's also saying we get attached to this identity of wanting and longing. And is that identity, that identification with our desires, it's our attachment, as they call it, to our desires that causes our suffering. Pretty awesome so far, right? The fourth noble truth is that there is no escape. There is no way to get out of it. But through a life of moderate living, balanced living, maybe we could say it that way, you can mitigate it. Right life, which means right actions, which means right thought, which means right conduct, which means a right job or a right career or right actions or right diet. All of these things, he calls them the eightfold path. These eightfold things we can do to help ourselves create a right life will help us kind of satiate those basic needs, give them what they kind of want, but not indulge them and not become entrapped by them and not become consumed or identified with them. Now, it's a heavy thought. It's a heavy idea that we're stuck with suffering. But here's the positive. Here's the takeaway that I go with that makes it all the difference in the world. That is not me. The first principle of yoga psych, the first thing we want, we call it the first consideration. The first thing I want you to consider is that is not you. You are not your emotions. You are not your feelings. You're not your actions. You're not your thoughts. You're not your past. You're not any of that. You're not the suffering. That is life. And that is where the positive is. Because who you are is already happy. Who you are is already loving, already peaceful, content, blissful. Who you are is beautiful and amazing. Now, the journey of yoga psych, the journey that we're all on, is to get through or past this knot that is the body-mind. It is this knot of suffering that binds us. And as Buddhists pointing out in these 4 noble truths, this knot is not going away, not as long as you live in this body. But this knot is not you. That's the cool truth. And yoga psych, to me, is all about 2 simple practices, which is 1. But the simple practice is to take love, consciousness, awareness, mindfulness, this witness that I am that's free and blissful and happy, and bring it to that knot, which is self, which is ego, and just hold it there. Just like, remember when you fell down on your bike? Remember when your children fell down on their bike? And we just held them there. Or you were just held there in love. And that love fed a higher need, a greater need. And it didn't take away the suffering of life. It comforted by giving you something more, something greater, the greater need, love. So the first part of yoga psych for me is holding this knot. Because I'm always trying to get away from this knot. I hate this knot. I hate this thing that is me, this suffering. It's painful, it's ugly, it's awful. I don't like it. But here's that thing I talked about in the very beginning. If you resist it, or if you try to fix it, or if you try to get rid of it in any way, it defines you even more. Here's what I mean. If my goal is to feel better, or is to get rid of this bad feeling, this knot, then every day or every second of every day, this is going to be my focus. And this is going to be my judge. And this is going to be my life. Am I feeling bad today? Am I feeling better? Am I feeling worse? Every day I have a twinge or a squeeze, that collapse inside, and I feel this pain, this knot, this suffering. It's a bad day. And then every day that it feels a little bit relaxed, or feels a little bit looser, or feels a little more flow. Oh, it's a good day. Well, what is controlling that? What is defining that but the knot itself? I am giving it control. I'm giving it identity. Is it a good day today? Is it a bad day today? How am I? Who am I? How do I judge my life? It's all based on this. It can't be. That's crazy, because this just makes it worse. So instead, what I want to do is I want to base my life on love. And how much of my day am I bringing love to this knot? And again, like I said before, that's the first half of it. First half of it is bring love to this knot. Hold it like a child. To pray for it, to care for it, to be conscious of it, and not an identification way, but just to hold it. And then once I've held it, then I turn the knot, the attention, the focus of that knot back to God, back to consciousness, back to truth, back to this moment, back to source, whatever you want to call it. But I want to take consciousness awareness, bring it to my knot. As I hold it on my knot, I just love it. And then as I think of it as I breathe out, I release my attention back to that which is greater than this knot for sure, but that which is greater than me. God, love. I breathe in, I hold the knot. I breathe out, I bring my attention back to God. Not with a real intention or effort to try and get rid of the knot, because then the knot's back in control again. But just hold it and then turn my attention back to God. And just hold it and turn my attention back to God. I created a totem. A totem is a kind of an object or a symbol that identifies or helps symbolize something. And this is the totem I've created for Yoga Psych. This is the sadhana, the practice of Yoga Psych. This is the yoga, the path of Yoga Psych. And it's this knot. That's me. That's not me personally. That's the body mind. That's the ego, the id, the I, the self, the collapse, the knot. That is suffering. And I bring attention to it. And I love it. And I just hold it. And then as I exhale, I bring my attention back up to God, to truth, to love. And then I bring it back down, hold, and then I bring it back up. This is the practice. This is what I do. Will this not ever dissolve? Will it ever go away? Will I ever get rid of it? I don't know. Some people have, some great people have come into enlightenment, and so that's all they are, is this higher consciousness of awareness. Will I do it? I don't know. It's rare. It takes great discipline. It takes great practice. People give up their entire life to pursue it. I don't know. But for me right now, in this moment, all I want to do is love and hold that knot and then surrender it, lift my attention back up to God, to keep my focus there, and then bring God, love, truth, attention back to the knot, hold it, and then bring my attention back up to God. That is the practice. And it feels good. It feels like someone is loving you. It feels like being held. Does it get rid of the knot? Does it cure you of life's existence, life's suffering? No. But I'm not sure there is a cure in this world. And that's okay. Because I want to focus on something greater than what's this body doing or how this body's feeling. Homework for you. Can you guess what that is? I want you to practice Yoga Psych. I want you to practice the yoga, the path of this psychology. And I want you to practice holding and loving. It goes like this: holding and loving. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Thanks again for watching. I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and you have been learning about Yoga Psych. Make sure you check out our page, yogapsych.com, to learn more. Take care. Hey, I haven't told you yet, make sure you go to yogapsych.com, because that's where you're going to find these ancient answers for your current problems. Take care.